Hey everyone, welcome back to the Honey Wool Wonders knitting channel. My name is Honey and I am back with a regular podcast style episode today. It's episode number 12, I think, and I have so much to share. So let's just jump right into it. All right, let's start with my first finished object, and that is what I'm wearing. My Northern Augustins number 7 in all its glory. Oh my god, guys, I'm so happy with how this turned out. If you've been following along, you probably have been across all the drama that was involved in this sweater. I had gauge issues, I had issues with the neckband, and after I split for the arms, like I did a mid-project block, and then I tried it on and it was a total mess. The neckband was sitting very awkwardly. I won't rehash the whole thing again, but just like in summary, my first attempt failed like big time, and I had to rip back the whole thing, the entire sweater, up until like I separated for the sleeves. I had to rip back the whole thing and start again. So let's talk about the construction first. This is a round yoke sweater. It's a beautiful colorwork sweater designed by Anne-Sophie Velling. And it's knit up on a 4mm needle using a DK weight yarn, and it's aiming for a 23 stitch gauge. Yeah, 23. I had to make some modifications because, as I said, I had some gauge issue. So I had to size up a needle. I knitted the colorwork section in a 4.5mm, and that gave me the right gauge. I also knitted mine in the second size to get the first size measurement, which is strange because I was only off gauge by 1 stitch. So my gauge is 22 stitches and the pattern gauge is 23. But I'm not even getting the full positive ease from the first size. So the first size is supposed to give you 30 centimeters. I'm around 24 centimeters positive ease, which honestly I'm a bit like happier because I think the fit is already too roomy and oversized. So I wouldn't really want this to be any larger than it actually is. So I knitted mine in the second size. Another modification that I made was the neckband. So the pattern has you to start with the neck, and it calls for a double folded color, and then it goes into the yoke. But the second attempt, since my first one the neck was like a total mess, I just left out the neck. I started with casting on the right amount of stitches that was required for the second size, and then I picked up stitches for the color after I finished the yoke. And I also sized down a needle. So the color is supposed to be knitted up in a 3.5mm needle. I used 3.25mm needle. I picked up less stitches, and I also did a single layer instead of double folded. So those are all the modifications that I made, and I think it turned out much better. So as you can see, I'm gonna put up like a b-roll that it shows it a bit better. But the neckband is amazing. Like it's like the fit is so good. It's not too tight, it's not too loose. It's just the perfect amount of snug. And what else? I also tried to add short rows to this sweater because the original design doesn't have any short rows, but I just left that out as well because the first attempt I tried to be smart and added short rows, but I think I didn't do a really great job. So I just knitted as pattern, and I just tried to rely on the blocking and try to just block the back neck slightly higher than the front, and I think it sits okay. I mean, it's not too high on my neck in the front, so I think it's fine. But yeah, the overall fit of this sweater is okay. My first time wearing or trying a round yoke sweater. I don't think I've got any main issues with it. So yeah, let's talk about the yarn that I used. I used the Rerum Natura Ulysse. It's a sport weight yarn. Even though the pattern calls for a DK weight yarn, I was able to meet gauge roughly using this yarn. This is a woolen spun yarn, so I think it's more lofty and airy, and that might have like helped with meeting gauge using a sport weight yarn. Before blocking, my color work looked a little bit too uneven, and it was a bit sad. I wasn't too happy with how it was like, you know, like the colors weren't like blending very nicely. But after I blocked it, it turned out amazing. Like it honestly shifted so much, and I think I'm now happy. I've heard worsted spun yarns are more suitable for color work. I don't know exactly how or why, but this is a woolen spun, so I think I'm still happy with it, to be honest. For my next color work, I'm gonna use a different type of yarn and see how that really makes a difference. And I'm happy with this. I think it looks fine. This sweater was actually on my dream list when I was planning my 2025 knitting vision board. And I was like, if I'll get to knit either of these, there was like 2 on my list, I'm gonna be super happy, and I can't believe I just made 1. But yeah, this turned out amazing. I love it. I've been wearing it a few times. I'm still thinking about, is this too much of a sweater? As in, like, can you really just easily throw it on and just wear it anywhere? Or is it more of a staple piece that you need to think ahead of, like, where you want to wear it? But I've been wearing it pretty much over the house. I went out a few times, I've worn it, and I don't know, I feel like it's just so cozy and love it. The yarn is so soft, like 0 itchiness to it. And yeah, my first color work sweater turns out to be a success. All right, on to my second finish object. Well, actually a semi-finish object, because I still haven't blocked this. This literally got off my needles last night, and I didn't want to wash it because it wouldn't be dry. And this is my first ever test knit. So this is called the Divino Pullover by Claudia from EweKnit. Let's just have a look first. Guys, this is so beautiful. Wow. This one's a surprise because, as I said, this one never ended up being a work in progress in any of my previous videos. And that's because everything happened so quickly. So I actually got a message on Instagram where I was reached by the designer, and they asked me if I want to test knit this design. And I was a bit surprised because I know, like, I've never done a test knit before, but I've heard, like, you usually have to you apply for test knits, there's like a process involved. And to be honest, I never thought about test knitting before. I mean, I thought it might add a bit stress to knitting, and I mean, I'm already dealing with a lot of stress at work, so I didn't want to mix stress with knitting. But since this was different, like, they literally asked me to test knit, and once I saw the design, I was like, I mean, I couldn't say no. So I said yes. Sign me up. And it was a pretty chill test knit, I think. I can't really compare it to any other test knits, but I assume it was a bit of like a chill one. Like, there wasn't any strict deadline that you need to finish it by this date. It was more like a rough estimate of, like, we wanted to, if you can finish it by end of August or early September. And I finished it in 2 weeks. So even the yarn, the ask for the yarn was pretty flexible as well. So the pattern is designed to be knit up holding 2 strands of mohair, but they were like, whatever you use, as long as you meet gauge, it's fine. But I wanted to achieve the same feel of the sweater. I felt like it's such a fluffy, airy, and dreamy sweater, and I thought using 2 lace yarn is actually going to help me get that look. Okay, let me actually talk about the yarn. I used the Chaska lace. So I've used this yarn before, but in a different base. This is their lace weight yarn. And you probably know I've recently been obsessed with this yarn. This is 75% baby suri and 25% silk. And this is so soft, guys. I've heard a lot of people saying, like, suri alpaca is like a very great alternative if you're a bit sensitive to mohair. I can tell why. It's super soft, like nowhere close to the mohair in terms of softness. So I held 1 strand of this, which is there's a lot of yardage in this as well. This is for 20 meters in a 50-gram bowl, and I held it with the Knitting for Olive soft silk mohair. I got 6 mohair and 4 of the suri alpaca, and I still have like 1 full skein left and a bit of the last one as well. But I was aiming for a more cream color. So the original design, like the sample photos, that's holding 2 strands of Knitting for Olive in the color cream. So I wanted to get the same color. When I was deciding for the color, I honestly couldn't see this, like picture this pattern or this sweater in any other color other than something in the white tone. I don't know why. Like, I tried to pick up color in a different range, like pink, brown, but I couldn't. So I was like, okay, I'm just gonna go with the white shade. Then I was like, I want that exact look. I want it in cream. So the Chaska lace, this one's in color cream, but the Knitting for Olive color cream, I couldn't get my hands on it. So I had to choose like another white shade. This is the color Snowflake. And as you can see, they're pretty different in terms of the tone. This one's more like cream, as the color says. This one's very off-white. I was hoping that the cream in the suri is gonna tone out the whiteness of this, but I don't think that happened. So if you see, it's giving more that off-white color. I don't know. I'm still so happy with it, but I think I'd prefer it to be more creamy than white. But that's fine. So yeah, this is knit up on a 4mm needle, and the gauge is 21. Stitch gauge is 21. I was really freaked out whenever I was knitting on this. Like the idea of like something spilling on this was so terrifying. I always washed my hands whenever I was going to pick it up, and then just put it out of reach when I was like, you know, like not working on it. But thankfully nothing really got onto it, and it's all clean. I just need to block it and wash it, and even now it looks pretty nice. I have tried it actually last night. It looked very nice. I'm going to talk about the construction. So this is a raglan construction, as you can see. So you start with casting on for the neck and build the raglan increases using this beautiful cable stitch. And the cables run from the shoulders all the way down to the hem. And I think that's such a beautiful touch in this design. The body's knit up on this beautiful texture. I think it's called dimple stitch. As complicated as it looks, it's honestly so simple. So you basically slip stitches every, I don't know, like a few rounds. And then on the next round, you basically knit from the below of the floats to sort of like pull up the floating yarn. I don't know if that makes sense, but it's very simple. That's what I'm trying to say. And yeah, I mean, it's the perfect balance of like mindless and engaging. So it's not like an overall stockinette pattern, and it's not too complicated. Once I finished the increase section, I honestly just put aside the pattern and just knit it until it was done. So very satisfying in a sense. And then there's like very beautiful clean 1x1 ribbing both for the hem and the sleeves. I did Italian tubular bind off both for the sleeves and the hem. The very interesting part about this design was the neck, the color, I mean. So it was the first time I was doing German short rows in a collar. So you start by picking up stitches using a 3.5mm needle, and then you start adding the first set of short rows. So as you can see, the back is sitting like slightly higher than the front. And I think that's such a beautiful, beautiful fit. And then you start the first set of short rows, and then you end this first set. You start continuing in the 1x1 rib, and then you change your needle size. So you go down a needle size. Do a few rounds of ribbing with the smaller needle size until you reach the end, and then you do another set of short rows, and then you sew the live stitches with the cast on stitch using whip stitch. So then the color was something totally new for me, and I honestly was a bit worried of like if it's going to turn out too loose. I think I was a bit traumatized by my color work by this one. I was afraid this same thing's gonna happen, but wow, the fit of this neck is amazing, and I still haven't blocked it, so I know it's going to even sit better. Like, it's the perfect amount of snug. It's not loose, it's not too tight. I love how the back sits higher than the front. I think that's such a smart way of like doing short rows. You might have probably tried this before, but first time for me, so I was very, very surprised of like how smart this design is. I'm probably going to share some b-rolls like me trying this on, but just keep in mind it's not blocked yet, and I'm going to do like proper photos next time once it's all blocked and dried, or I might share it on my Instagram. I'm super happy with this. This was released as part of a set, so there's like a skirt version, like a matching skirt as well. I'm actually thinking of knitting the skirt as well once it's out. The test knit was only for the sweater, but I don't know how a skirt will look like how it will hold up using this sort of yarn combo. But even on its own, like this sweater is just like a total statement piece, I think. And that's why she's the name is pretty cool as well. Divino Pullover from Divine. This is Divine. Honestly, it's so beautiful. It's so dreamy. There's something about it that I so much love. I'm still figuring out how I want to style it. Like, do I want to save it only for special occasions, or can I just wear it casually with a jean? I don't know. I think it works both ways. But yeah, I'll try to. I'm still thinking of like how to style this best, and the color's a bit too much out of my comfort zone. I don't have that many white pieces, like full white, so I don't know how I feel about wearing this, but I can't wait to try it on. And it's super soft. Like I'm honestly thinking of like knitting something else with this yarn, like two Suri alpacas only, like not even with the mohair. I think it's going to be super soft, and I'm thinking of like maybe knitting it a vest with this yarn. I don't know. We shall see. But yeah, I honestly enjoyed the test knit process. As I said, it was very chill. I didn't feel any stress at all. And I don't know if I'll sign up for any of the test knits later. I get a bit crazy when there's like deadlines. I sort of go a bit wild, as in like I have to finish it and make sure I meet the deadline. So that's why I try to stay away from doing test knits. But this one was fine. I finished it in 2 weeks. It finished off pretty quickly, but this was my main focus. So once I got the yarn, I was only knitting on this. So that's why I finished so quickly as well. But still, 2 weeks is pretty quick. And I was super busy at work, so I didn't really get any knitting time during the day. It was mostly after work. But yeah, finished so quickly. And yeah, this was the first time I tried knitting anything from this designer. I think they've got like a yarn store in Canada called EweKnit, but she's got so many beautiful patterns. I'm actually going to check out a few others of her. She's got a few color work sweaters that are so beautiful. Okay, let's now move on to my whips. I'm gonna start with the one that, again, you've never seen before. Okay, so if you've been following along, you might remember that I picked up some Rauma Finull yarn just to try out the yarn previously, and I was planning to hold it with the Knitting for Olive soft silk mohair. So this is in the color 4138. It's this very light headed pink, and I'm holding it with the mohair in the color linen. I picked these two yarn to knit the Cardi V-neck by Anne-Sophie, and I even made a gauge swatch, so I was just ready to cast on. But then I remembered that I had another sweater in my Ravelry wish list. It's the Frøya Sweater by Ingrid Dip. I think that's how you pronounce the last name. I've talked about this in one of my next cast on planning videos. So I really wanted to, I love this sweater. It's so beautiful. And something about the Cardi V-neck was sort of like scaring me. I think it was the idea of like repeating the same texture pattern all over, and it's a pretty huge and oversized sweater. So I was worried it might get a bit boring and I might not want to finish it, you know? So I pivoted the idea and I cast on the Frøya sweater using the same yarn combo. So let me show how far I've got. I haven't gone too far, to be honest, but this is how it's looking. Oops. So this pattern is actually designed for a heavier, oh wow, it's so pretty. It's designed for a heavier yarn. So I think it's the original pattern's calling for like a Aran or worsted weight yarn held with a lace weight. But I decided to just go with the lighter version. So this is a sport weight yarn, the Rauma Finull, and this is just a lace weight. So this does give me the same gauge stitch count. So I didn't make a gauge swatch. I actually just started the back. And once I had a bit like fabric, I just measured it and I hit gauge. So this is knit up on a 5mm needle to meet a 20 stitch gauge, and I did meet gauge. But my fabric is a bit airier than the original design. I think that's more of a dense fabric, and honestly it doesn't get super cold here, so this fabric's probably more wearable for me anyway. So yeah, as I said, I haven't gotten like too far in this. I only finished the shoulder increases. And I only cast this on while I was waiting for my yarn for my test knit to arrive. And once that arrived, this went on hold and I'm ready to just pick it up. There's another chart that is for the back, but with no increases. So increases are shaped on both the wrong side and right side, which creates a fairly steep slope for the shoulder. And then you add a bit more fabric without any increases in the back. Then you pick up stitches from the two fronts, join in the round, and the rest is just like similar construction as a drop shoulder. This design is so beautiful, but there's so many things going on. We've got these 2x2 cables, and then there's like 1x1 cable, 3x1 cable. There's these diamond cables. There's like a lot of things happening. So it's very engaging. It goes super slow, but I'm honestly so fine. Like, I love knitting cables. There's like a satisfaction involved whenever you finish a row and a repeat. I just keep, you know, staring at it and just enjoying how it's knitting up. And I love the color. I was hoping for this pink to be a bit toned down with the linen, but I don't think that's really happening. It's leaning more towards a pink fabric, which is still pretty. I love it. And I've heard so many good things about this yarn, and I'm really keen to see how it's going to turn out in this all over cable. The stitch definition is amazing, and I think it's going to even look prettier after I block it. But yeah, there's still so much going on. I think this might be my last winter sweater because it's going to take a while, and yeah. Let's see how far I get in my next video. And this sweater is super oversized. It's aiming for a 30 to 40 centimeters of positive ease, and I'm knitting the first size. So let's see how big it's gonna get. But I love oversized sweater. You probably know, I've said this so many times. It's a thing I love in my pieces, to be very relaxing and comfortable. Okay, let's move on to my second whip, which you've seen before, and I haven't done much since the last time, and that is my Ivy blouse by Petiteknit. So I think I haven't separated and started the body last time. So now I am onto the body. So I separated the sleeves, and again this one went on hold. Everything's been on hold since I was doing the test knit. So I just managed to add a few more rounds to this in the meantime, but there's not much going on here. This is a very recent release. I love the color. Let me talk about the yarn. I am using the Chaska Puray in the color, I think, Leaf. This is a very beautiful yarn, guys. It's a 60% merino wool and a 40% super kid mohair. It's super soft. This pattern's original pattern is designed to be knit up on, like, using 2 strands of mohair. It's knit up on a 3.5 millimeter needle, so a very tight gauge. And I was able to meet gauge using 1 strand of this. So I'm holding it by itself. It's a contiguous shoulder construction, so you create those shoulder slope details, and then you add raglan increases to create the sleeve. And then I'm knitting in the round. There's a fair bit to go still, and it's a very tight gauge, so it does take a while. But I'm not in a rush to finish this. This is going to be my spring wear because it's not too warm. And it's like there's very minimal finishing to it. So the neckbands, as you can see, it's like a stockinette rolled edge. It's the same for the sleeves and the bottom. So I assume it's just going to be a very mindless knit. And it's good to have this one because it's a very airy and lightweight gauge. And I think I need a break from my all over cabled sweater. So it's a good combo to have in the whip list. Okay, my last whip. Again, you've seen this before. I've got a huge mess in front of me. I'm so glad you can't see it. Let me pull this out. This baby has been sitting in this bag for so long, and I don't think it's happy. Wow, this is actually pretty huge. Okay, excuse the wrinkle here, but yeah, as I said, it's been waiting very patiently for me to pick up. This is the Monday sweater by Petiteknit. I'm knitting this for my partner, so that's why it's a bit bigger than my own size. Last time, I think I haven't even separated for the sleeve, so I think I made quite a good progress here. So I was knitting the 5th size, so that's the extra large size. And I was on the body, I had a lot on the body, and I was almost done with one sleeve. And I had him to try it on, and it was huge, like super huge. I had the Monday sweater pattern for myself, so it's not a men design from Petiteknit, but I thought it's going to be a similar fit. So based on the measurements for this size extra large, I thought it's going to give him this amount of positive ease, which is fine. But I think it turned out way bigger than I was expecting. So I had to rip back again, the whole thing. I've been on this thing about my whips not working out the first time. So yeah, I had to rip back the whole thing. There was like no way I could keep it. It was too big. Like the underarms were like so much fabric, and his look when he tried it didn't seem happy. So I said, don't worry, I'm gonna rip back and fix it. So I ripped back the whole body, the whole sleeve. So I ripped back until I reached the stitch amount that was for the 4th size, so size large. That's what I did. So this is now a size large, and the fit is fine. So he tried it on, it's way better, so I'm so glad I did that. This is a very standard raglan construction, nothing too fancy about it, but the fit is amazing. I love my own version. I've been wearing it a ton, and I think he's gonna love it too. So I finished one sleeve. I did change the decrease rates for the sleeves as well. I think there's something about the men fitting that's not working for this sweater. So I had to do some modifications to get the right sleeve length. I've picked up stitches for the other sleeve. I'm gonna finish off the sleeve and then just sit and knit an endless stockinette body. I don't know when this is gonna get finished. There's so much, it's so many stitches. But I'm pretty fast with knitting stockinette, since it's, you know, like I just have it on when we're watching something and I don't really have to look closely at what I'm doing with my hands. And I really want to finish this. So this is going to be my next main focus from today onwards, because I really want him to, you know, at least wear it a few times before winter finishes. And I'll quickly touch upon the yarn that I'm using. I'm using this new to me yarn called Heirloom Cozy Comfort. This is an Australian brand, and it's a 70% wool, 17% silk, and 13% alpaca. So very interesting combo, and it's super soft. I love the fuzziness of it. It's knitting up very beautifully. Like the stitch definition is so crisp. It was a more affordable yarn, so I was very keen to see how it knits up. Yeah, I'm impressed actually, but I gotta see how it wears up as well. Like after a few wear, if it's gonna peel a lot, because it's very soft. So yeah, this one went on full hold when I was doing the test knit, and he wasn't happy that his sweater was sitting in a bag and it wasn't taking any of my attention. But now I'm gonna finish it soon. Okay, I think that was all I had to share. I'm actually very, very keen. Once I get the Monday sweater out of the list, I'm gonna start knitting up this beautiful yarn. I've talked about this before. This one just like got into my stash based on a color inspo, and I actually made a gauge swatch as well. It's so beautiful. I love it. I think this is on a 4.5mm needle. I still haven't landed on a final pattern for it, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be a stockinette V-neck sweater and just let the color just shine by itself. So yeah, this is on my plan list after I finish the Monday sweater. And that's it. I know I've said this before that I'm not a huge fan of like summer knitting, but something's changed this year. I think I'm actually excited to do some warmer weather pieces. I've got so many sweaters. So I think it's time to pause and do some lighter version knits. And seeing all this beautiful finished objects on Instagram and YouTube is actually like making me feel like want to make some summer knits. And I've got more idea about summer yarn and how they behave, and they're okay. Like some of them are actually fine to wash in a machine. So that was one of my concerns before. So yeah, I'm thinking of putting together, there's a few ones. I don't have a huge list to knit for my summer, but I'm thinking of putting out a video to share what I'm planning for my spring summer knitting patterns, but that'll come out maybe like hopefully next month. I don't think I'll have an August version of like what I'm planning to cast on next video. I really want to focus on finishing up the ones that I have in progress. But I might do a video to decide my next color work sweater, because I'm so excited and I can't wait to cast on my next color work. So I might do a video if I'll get time. Let's wrap it up here. As always, thank you so much for sticking around and hanging out with me today. Leave me comments. I think that's the highlight of the videos for me. I enjoy filming and sharing and talking about everything that I'm knitting. I hate the editing section. I'm gonna be honest here, I'm not a very professional editor. I only learned how to edit once I started my YouTube channel, and I'm not the best at it, so it does take me a while to edit my videos. And yeah, I sometimes get a bit sick of like seeing myself from that close up and just like repeating, hearing everything on and on. But the next highlight is when you guys leave me comments and I engage with you throughout the comments. So it's just fun. So if you feel like it, leave me a comment. Let me know what you've been knitting on. Let me know what you think about any of my knits. I always love to hear your thoughts, and all of you are just so kind, and I always receive so many beautiful, warm, and just kind words from you, and it just makes my day. It makes me happy. So yeah, if you enjoyed this video, as always, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Also subscribe if you don't want to miss out on my future videos, and let's leave it here. You can also find me on Instagram under the same handle, Honey Wool Wonders, also on Ravelry. Everything's going to be linked in the description of this video. I hope you're having a wonderful day or night wherever you are. Happy knitting, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.